Debbie?
I have a concern about African American seniors because I believe that they're underserved. And I'm not afraid to say it in public. And I think seniors are underserved, period. And it's not because I'm 62, I'm a senior, but because I walked through my parents' life with them. You know, any benefits they were entitled to, I saw that they got it because they work hard to make it easier for us. So I think it should be very easy for them. My dad was ill, and talking to his physician, we put him in home hospice. And he was 90, and my mom was 80. And he started to, they called it sundialing. It's like when the sun go down, they get hyper and they start to talk a lot and talk real loud. And she called me one evening and said that it was bothering her too much. Was there a senior citizen center I could put her in? And my mama was great at 80. And I said, no. I said, you're not leaving my daddy. You know, I said, I'll just come over there and put a towel under his door on the outside. And I have a humidifier in his room, so it can just only to block the noise. And I'll put yours under the door on the inside. And then it'll buffer the noise from you hearing him calling my name at night. It was 7 of us, 6 living children. But I was always the closest to my parents. So I went one day to take her to she called me. She said, I want you to take me to the bank. I want to put your name on my account. And I'm like, okay. I didn't think too much of it. We went to the bank and we were sitting there. She kept fiddling with her thumbs. And then the personal banker asked if we wanted water. I said yes. And she gave my mom a bottle of water and she was looking at it. She was messing with the top. And then she put it up to her mouth. And then she took it out. And then she unscrewed the top and set the top in the bottle down. And then she put the top back on the bottle and screwed it on. And then I said, let me see it, Mama. And I just took it and I screwed it. And we was talking and she, we filled out all the paperwork and I took her home. That was on a Monday. And then that Wednesday, my brother called me and he said, Mama got up last night and put on her coat and said that she was going outside because you was taking her to a doctor's appointment. So I said, well, let me come over there and check on her. So I went to my mom's house. She was in her room laying down on her bed, kind of like in a fetal position. She had on the same clothes from Monday, and I could tell she hadn't changed. And some men overlook things. And I was asked, my brother's name is Junebug. I said, Junebug, why Mama got on the same clothes? He said, I don't know. Maybe she didn't want to change, and I don't know how long this had been going on. And I said, well, you should have taken her to the doctor when you told me this morning, when you told me she got up last night and you heard the alarm on the door go off when she tried to open the door and she was still dressed in her same clothes from Monday with her coat on her purse. And my dad, he was totally in his right mind. He was just bedridden. And my daddy said, did nobody tell me nothing was going on with your mama? I said, Dad, I'm going to take her to the doctor and when I bring her back, I'll tell you what the doctor said. And they called me Gail. He said, okay, Gail. So I took her to her doctor. Before I took her to the doctor, she said, I got to use the bathroom. I opened the door to the bathroom, and she went in the bathroom. I closed the door, and I was waiting and waiting. So finally, I turned the lock, and the lock was unlocked. And I opened the door, and she was sitting on the toilet. And they have an older house from the 60s, and the bathtub is right here. And it had the shower doors. And she was laying like this, like she was asleep. And I said, Mama, you can't go to sleep, still not thinking nothing is wrong. Got her up. I had to, dry and prepare and told my brother to help her out to the car. So we went out to the car. And when we got to Morehouse School of Medicine up on Howell Mill Road to Dr. Crawford, I said, Mama, wait a minute. I'm going to go in and get a wheelchair for you. So I went in and got a wheelchair, came out, took her in, parking handicap, went back in. We were sitting there. And this little girl was there, and she was doing pea pie. And my mama started doing it with her. And I said, she's cute. And it was a little white girl. And she tapped me, and she said, that's Zari. That's my granddaughter, who looks just like me. And I said, no, Mama, that's not Zari. She said, Debbie, you take Zari everywhere. And I took her in there to Dr. Crawford, and he was looking at her ears, and he said, Judy, when the last time you cleaned out your ears? She said, why? He said, when the Lord called on you, you ain't gonna hear him. He used to make jokes with her like that. And she went to swing at it. She said, you so retarded. And I'm like, my mama don't even talk like that. She was very good about going to her doctor's appointments, listening to her doctor, and asking questions. Listen to your body and ask questions. She was really good at asking questions. And Dr. Crawford said, I'm going to get Debbie to take you to urgent care. So he said, come here, Debbie. I said, yes. He said, take your mom to the nearest hospital. He said, because I can't do her labs and get them back. Either she's had a stroke or she has a UTI. And he said they both would send her into dementia. And I learned all that in one day. Yeah, he said they both would take her into dementia. So I took her to South Fulton Hospital. She stayed there for about a week. And then about the fourth day, I went and spoke to the caseworker there to set her up to go into a rehab because she didn't want to walk, she didn't want to eat, she didn't want to talk, and she had had a stroke. I called and told my brother, I said, I'm at South Fulton, I've been gone all day, I'm getting ready to come by the house, I'm going to bring Daddy something to eat and explain to him Mama's in the hospital. And I remember going to my dad's house and I just saw him just get really tired. Because he had been in home hospice since October, and my mama passed March 31st. And they would have been married 58 years the next day, which was Good Friday. She died a day before their 58th wedding anniversary. And I could just see his body he just lost life in his body. And within 2 weeks, he had passed. My sister said he had stopped eating and talking. And I knew he had congenital heart failure. And the week before he passed, I went over there, and my husband went with me. He was a corpsman in the Navy. And he went on the other side of the bed, and because my dad was laying facing the window, he checked his pulse and his arm and his feet. And he said, Mr. Williams, you're becoming dehydrated. You need an IV. And he said, Rick, I don't need an IV. He said, I'm just tired. I just want to go. And I said, you want to do what? He said, I want to go. I said, leave me here with your children? I said, no, Dad, I said, I said, no, you can't leave me here with them. And he started laughing. He said, Sugar, you'll be all right. He said, you took good care of your mama. He wasn't able, his heart couldn't take the funeral. But he said, you did everything I think she wanted. He said, you've been a good girl. I said, I'm your best child. That's why I said, Dad, we're going to be like the Notebook. I'm going to hold your hand. He told me, no. He said, Rick, take her out of him. He said, you've been a good daughter. I said, you've been a good dad. And the next morning he passed. My dad said he was tired. He was going to be with my mama. My parents died 35 days apart. And I had to do 2 complete funerals by myself. I did the funeral, the burial, and the repast. I made sure everything was nice for my mom because of my dad, because my parents always made sure everything was nice for us. It was 7 of us. We may not have had the nicest house, the nicest clothes, the nicest cars, but I had to stop and thank God for giving me 58 years with my parents. And who am I to complain?